formally lock out whenever we want because we have majority of the players' votes behind us. I think that for me personally, like the closer it gets to WNBA season, we're prepared to do it, to not play, but we don't want to. We want to play because we know how important it is to be on the court for a number of reasons, for the people, for the fans, for the city.
This isn't a maybe anymore. This isn't the players saying they're still exploring options or trying to send a message through the media. Breanna Stewart just confirmed that the WNBA Players Association has officially approved a strike authorization vote. That means the union has the numbers. A majority of players are on board, and they are prepared to sit out the entire 2025 season if they don't get a deal they believe is fair. That changes everything. A strike authorization vote is not the same as an actual strike, but it's the clearest signal a union can send. It tells the league that the players are done relying on optimism and patience. It means they're willing to walk away from paychecks, exposure, and momentum to force real movement at the negotiating table. And for a league that just had its most successful season ever, that's a serious threat. What makes this moment historic is that the WNBA has never been here before. In past negotiations, there was always room to believe cooler heads would prevail, or that both sides would find a compromise before things escalated. This time feels different. The players aren't just frustrated, they're organized. They've drawn a clear line and told the league exactly what happens if it's crossed. Now the pressure shifts. The owners have to decide whether they believe the players will follow through. Because if they do, the cost won't just be a delayed season. It could mean losing the momentum the league has worked years to build, alienating new fans, and putting the future of the WNBA at real risk.
And
negotiations are in process
to get things moving,
in hopes of getting it moving, because it has not been moving at all. Both sides are kind of getting, frustrated, but I know us players are holding our ground, so it should be interesting. At the end of the day, depending on where these negotiations go, like if you give these players what they want, you're going to get all the best players. Therefore, you're going to win. Therefore, your ticket sales are going to be up. Everything's going to be up.
But that's what these negotiations are, is finding where that middle is. Yeah.
It sucks because it's like how our negotiation, how that's going. It's like we're the laugh.
Sophie Cunningham is trying to frame this as something it really isn't. She's presenting it like a normal competitive discussion about building the best teams and winning championships. But when you listen closely to what she actually says, a different picture emerges. Both sides are kind of getting frustrated, she says. But I know us players are holding our ground. That's not casual frustration. That's strike language. That's someone signaling they're dug in and willing to escalate. Then she says something even more revealing. We're the laughingstock of sports right now. That didn't come from the league office. That didn't come from ownership. That came from inside the players' own meetings. That tells you the tension isn't just between players and owners. It's internal too. And here's the part that makes this even harder to ignore. The WNBA has reportedly offered a deal that could raise the average player salary from around $147,000 to close to $1 million over the next 5 years. That's not a small adjustment. That's not inflation. That's a massive shift in how players are paid. We're talking about an increase of several 100%, something almost unheard of in professional sports. Yet players are publicly calling that offer unfair. You can agree or disagree with their demands, but it's important to be honest about the scale of what's on the table. This isn't a league refusing to budge. It's a league making its biggest financial commitment ever, while players are pushing for even more. And that gap in expectations is why this situation keeps getting more volatile by the day.
The WNBA owners and NBA owners are fed up with you guys. They're fed up. I did a video yesterday evening where we found out that if certain growth markers are hit, the max players are staring at $2.4 million in 5 years. And that the average player would be staring at $1 million a year 5 years from now if these growth markers are hit. Metrics. It's crazy. It's going to get...
Now we're getting to the heart of it, because this is where the owner's mindset really comes into focus. The word that keeps coming up behind closed doors is simple: fed up. And it's not hard to see why. The NBA has subsidized the WNBA for 28 years. Nearly 3 decades of financial losses. Not one season of consistent profitability. Year after year, the league survived because of outside support, not because it stood on its own. And just as the league finally catches a break, just as Caitlin Clark drives historic ratings, attendance spikes, and real momentum, this is the moment the players choose to threaten a work stoppage. From the owner's perspective, that timing feels like a gut punch. To be clear, the latest proposal is not minor. It includes revenue sharing for the first time in league history. Players would receive 50% of league revenues once specific growth benchmarks are reached. Maximum salaries could climb as high as $2.4 million by year 5. That's a dramatic shift from where the league has ever been. But here's the uncomfortable reality that even Breanna Stewart has acknowledged. Only about 10 to 15 players in the entire league can financially survive a prolonged strike. That means roughly 130 players cannot. They don't have endorsement deals, overseas money, or long-term financial security. Sitting out a season would hit them immediately and hard. And yet, the strike authorization vote passed anyway. That's what makes this moment so volatile. A small group can afford to hold the line, while the majority is being asked to take on serious personal risk. That imbalance is impossible to ignore. And it's exactly why both sides now feel boxed in. The owners feel pushed. The players feel unheard. And neither side seems ready to blink.
Comes to shove because, you know, like you said, you're comparing apples to oranges. The W and the NBA, like, contracts are vastly different.
Very skewed, yeah.
So it's like, yeah, the top 10, maybe 15 players can survive without a W contract.
Right.
But the rest, it's like, no, you don't want to go that much without getting paid. I feel like the PA is doing a great job of making sure that we have like the amenities and the resources, and if we don't get what we want.
And there it is. The admission everyone's been dancing around. The top 10, maybe 15 players in the league can survive without a WNBA contract. Everyone else? Not so much. When she says that, she's acknowledging the fracture out loud. ESPN already reported division inside the Players Association's executive committee, and this is exactly what that division looks like in real life. You've got star players like Breanna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu, who can make serious money overseas or through endorsements. If there's a strike, they can ride it out. They'll still pay their bills. They'll still be fine. But that's not the reality for most of the league. What about the player making the league minimum who just got drafted? What about the veteran on her last contract who's trying to save for retirement? For them, missing a season isn't a statement. It's a financial crisis. That's why this doesn't feel like true solidarity. It feels like a small group of max-level players steering the entire league toward a cliff and asking everyone else to trust the process. The role players are being told to believe that leadership knows what it's doing, even though they're the ones taking the biggest risk. If this really ends in a work stoppage, the stars will survive. The rest of the roster may not. And that's the uncomfortable truth sitting at the center of this fight, whether the union wants to admit it or not.
We'll see it. It will be the biggest PR. You know what? This is what the players don't get. You're already in a PR disaster right now. Why do you think that the NBA leaked the latest proposals, information, and metrics? Because they understand a large part of the fan base is actually on the owner's side in this. Because we're seeing how large the raises are now. And all these other perks, including, I can understand giving a player like if you're on a 10-day contract, I can understand a team putting you up in a hotel or whatever. I get that. But if you're drawing
Every time a WNBA player goes public and says, "We're prepared to strike," or "We'll sit out if we have to," they lose more public support. And what's remarkable is that many of them genuinely don't seem to understand why. From inside the bubble of player meetings and union messaging, the stance probably feels righteous and necessary. From the outside, especially to casual fans, it looks disconnected from reality. To understand the backlash, you have to start with how the league is perceived. For the average fan, the WNBA is associated with two undeniable truths. First, Caitlin Clark is the league's biggest star, and its most powerful revenue engine by a massive margin. Second, the NBA has financially propped up the WNBA for nearly 3 decades. Those two facts dominate the public narrative, whether players like it or not. Now put yourself in the shoes of a casual sports fan. You hear that the league has offered a deal that includes a potential 700% increase in average salary over 5 years, revenue sharing for the first time in league history, improved travel conditions, housing stipends, enhanced maternity benefits, and expanded marketing commitments. Then you hear players publicly calling that offer insufficient and threatening to shut the league down. The optics aren't just bad, they're catastrophic. This isn't the NFL Players Association negotiating over how to split a $60 billion revenue pie with billionaire owners. This is a league that has never turned a consistent profit, threatening to cancel what could be its first truly sustainable season. That distinction matters, and fans absolutely notice it. Here's the core misunderstanding from the Players Association. They believe they have leverage. They believe the threat of lost games will force ownership to cave. What they're misreading is their audience. The WNBA didn't just grow its fan base last season. It added roughly 3 times as many new fans as it had existing ones. That's a seismic shift. Those new fans are not deeply invested lifers. They are sports fans first. They came for Caitlin Clark. They came because the product improved. They came because the storylines became compelling. But their loyalty is fragile. They're not waiting out labor disputes. If there's no season, they'll watch something else, and there is no guarantee they come back. Lose 1 game to a strike and it's a PR nightmare. Lose a week and it's devastating. Lose a month and the damage could take years to undo. Momentum in sports is everything. And the WNBA is finally riding a wave it's never had before. Intentionally stepping off that wave is an extraordinary risk. Ownership understands this, which is why the details of the proposal mysteriously leaked. That wasn't accidental. It was strategic. Once fans hear $1 million average salary and 50% revenue sharing, public opinion shifts sharply against the players. The owners know that transparency favors them here. Look at what's actually in the deal. A 50% revenue share once growth benchmarks are met. Maximum salaries reaching $2.4 million within 5 years. Charter travel, housing stipends, improved benefits across the board. By any objective standard, this is the most player-friendly proposal in WNBA history. It's not close. But the players are fixated on one thing: potential future money. They see expansion fees like Golden State's reported $50 million. They see rising franchise valuations. They see new media deals. And they assume all of that should immediately flow to them. That's not how business works. Expansion fees compensate existing owners for dilution. Valuations are theoretical until a sale actually happens. Media rights revenue has to cover the full cost of operating the league, not just salaries. The players want NBA-style compensation without NBA-level revenue. The math simply doesn't work. To put it in perspective, the average NBA team generates around $300 million per year. The entire WNBA generates roughly $200 million. This is where Sophie Cunningham's comment about being the laughingstock of sports becomes deeply ironic. Threatening to strike over a historic raise is exactly the kind of thing that turns public opinion against you. Claiming exploitation in a league that's been subsidized for 28 years doesn't land the way players think it does. Breanna Stewart says they don't want to strike, but they will if they have to. Okay, let's follow that logic to its conclusion. Games are missed. Caitlin Clark's momentum stalls. Casual fans disengage. Sponsors get nervous. And at some point, NBA ownership starts asking a hard question. Is this worth continuing to fund? Because here's the uncomfortable truth no one wants to say out loud. The WNBA needs the players, but the players need the WNBA more. There is no comparable platform. Europe offers solid pay for stars, but limited growth, limited exposure, and limited long-term brand building. The WNBA is the only place where players can turn basketball into a post-career business. Players often say, "Pay us what we're worth." Fine. Let's do that strictly by revenue generation. Caitlin Clark's games draw 3 to 4 times the audience of games without her. So by pure market logic, she should earn 3 to 4 times what other stars make. But the union would never accept that level of disparity. They want market economics when it benefits them and collective protection when it doesn't. You can't have both. Ask yourself this. If you were offered a 700% raise at your job, plus profit sharing once growth targets are hit, plus better benefits, would you threaten to walk out? Or would you sign the deal and keep building? The Players Association is betting that ownership will blink first. That fear of losing momentum will force concessions. But if ownership doesn't blink, the consequences are brutal. No paychecks. No games. Lost fans. Lost leverage. Everyone loses. This is why the situation feels so dangerous. Not because players are wrong to want more, but because the strategy being used risks destroying the very progress they're trying to capitalize on. If this ends in a strike, it won't be remembered as a brave stand. It'll be remembered as the moment the WNBA overplayed its hand. From where this stands, it doesn't look like empowerment. It looks like a union leadership misreading leverage, misreading fans, and dragging an entire league toward the edge at the worst possible moment.